and friends to another impactful episode. We're about to go through and highlight a melanated married couple or just go through some lessons that we got. Make sure y'all tap in with the conversation. Queen, where can they go to tap in?
TheeM4Show.com.
Yes, ma'am. And make sure y'all follow us on Instagram. Queen, where can they follow us on Instagram?
TheeM4Show.
Now, if y'all haven't liked and subscribed, it would make the Queen very, very happy. If you can go ahead. Very? What should they do?
You should go ahead and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you're watching or listening. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button.
It's free, and your first step to becoming a millionaire. Go ahead and click that button. And let's get into the show.
Let's do it.
Let's get into it. Oh, the Queen, you vibing?
Always.
You grooving? For some reason, does that not look sideways to you? No?
Ever so slightly. But
I
didn't notice until just now.
I'm gonna fix that during the intro. You know, it bothers me, Sinclair.
I'm sure.
Bothers me. I'm gonna fix it during the intro. But welcome back to the M4 Show, Melanated Married Millionaires in the making. That's what we are, and we hope that's what you are as well. Thanks for tapping in with us. My name is Truvel, creator of Black Wall Street, the board game, and as usual, I have with me
got a little sultry there.
Yeah, a little sauce, a little suave, the beautiful, the giggling, the hair. What is this called? Rap queen herself. Please introduce yourself.
What is up, party people? My name is Sinclair, aka the Health Nerd, and feeling pretty good today.
Nice.
Good to be here. We've had an interesting morning.
We had
afternoon.
Basically, we've been fighting ants, y'all. I'll be real with you. All right, summertime. I did make a mistake and maybe left some food out, and the ants got it. All right, the ants. The ants get to the bag no matter what. All right. If you leave something out, they go find it.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So yeah, we had to battle that a little bit. But I think it's good because it gives you a little extra oomph, a little extra motivation to clean up your space. So I'm looking forward to cleaning up my office, cleaning up the space, and just having nice space. I do
orderly.
Work well. Yeah, orderly. I do work well when I have it. I usually don't like to clean, but when I do clean, it gets clean and then I feel good. So we're gonna get to it.
The process is not fun, but the result is.
Exactly. Typically, I'll put on a podcast. I'll put on a YouTube video. So maybe some good music. So I mean, maybe a rap battle if I'm feeling funky and fresh. So yeah, we're gonna get into that all next week. But today, we want to talk to y'all about being afraid of your own greatness. All right, we want to talk to y'all about maybe a little bit of self-sabotage, but really, this is your year. This is your time.
Yeah.
Right. We live in a very interesting time where you can almost do anything you want. Almost.
I mean, probably more so than
ever before. Right.
The opportunities are there right now.
All right. So it's a matter of, and this episode, to be honest with y'all, I'm talking to me when I do this episode. Right. I'm hoping this connects with someone else out there. I'm hoping this connects with the Queen. Hope this connects with some family and friends. But really, when we thought about this topic and I asked the Queen, like, what do you think about this, or this? It was a long list. And she was like, let's do that. And I was like, okay, I like that. How would I talk to myself in that message? So if I talk to myself sideways, y'all, just know it's all out of love.
It's not to you. It's not directed towards you.
It's not directed towards you. I promise you. It is directed towards Devon in the future, Devon in the past. And I'm just really trying to lock in on that frequency and consciousness for myself. And I'll get into why during the podcast. But Queen, before we hop into it, can you please hit the beautiful people with the did you know?
Yes. So along your pathway to greatness, right, there's going to be a lot of stress, period. It's inevitable. And along those lines, did you know that supplementing or increasing your intake of magnesium can help your body deal with the stress that we all deal with on a daily basis? So one study show that about 50% of adult Americans are deficient in magnesium. So that's a very big number. It means of the two of us, one of us is probably deficient. Right?
It's probably good me. I don't even know what magnesium is, to be honest with you, so it's probably
magnesium is a mineral, and one of the things that it helps our bodies do is to switch back and forth between the parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system, which is basically the fight or flight, the like stress, the mode that your body gets into when it's experiencing stress, or the rest and digest mode. a healthy body can switch between those two states relatively quickly, and throughout the day can switch between them, right? You get into that mode when you need to, and then your body can come back when you're safe. The problem is that when you're deficient in magnesium, you may turn on that stressful and that fight or flight mode, and you stay there. Your body doesn't have enough magnesium or resources to bring the body back to that rest and digest mode. So by upping your magnesium intake, you can more easily calm your body down, right? Bring yourself back to center when you are done experiencing a stressful event. So definitely you can get your magnesium in multiple ways. You can get it through food. Some of the best forms are pumpkin seeds, almonds, cashews, and dark leafy greens. You can also get it in a supplement form, right? You can get it in a capsule that you can take. You can get it in like a powder you can drink. You can even get it in a topical cream or formula that you can put on your body, because it's actually absorbed through the skin very easily. So there are multiple ways for you to up your magnesium intake, but that is definitely one way that if you're going through a stressful time, magnesium is something you need to prioritize.
Boom. There it is. Get some magnesium in your life to balance out your parasympathetic nervous system and your, what was the other one?
Sympathetic.
And your sympathetic nervous system, right? Queen.
Yes.
Are you ready to dig deep today?
I'm ready.
You ready to dive into why I am afraid, possibly why you are afraid of your own greatness? Ready? Okay. Well,
peel back the layers.
We'll peel back the layers. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, and folks out there watching, let's get into the episode. Over 50% of Black Americans are unmarried, and only 2% of Black families in America have a net worth over $1 million.
We are on our journey to not only join that 2%, but grow that 2%.
Facts. I'm Devon Truvel, creator of Black Wall Street, the board game, with my beautiful co-host.
I'm Sinclair, aka the health nerd.
And welcome to the M4 Show. So
there we go.
What? Oh yeah, it's better now. Yes. It's nice and level. All right, YouTubers, if you watch on YouTube, we appreciate you. Let us know if we're level. Go ahead and give us a like, give us a subscribe. We are trying to get to, or we are going to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Hey, go ahead and hop on the train now. All right, go ahead and be one of those early supporters. We appreciate you. If you're watching or listening on Spotify, Apple Music, y'all know, do the same thing. Like and give us a follow on any of those platforms. We appreciate your support. So yeah, I went to this. Is it too early to get into that example? Let me go to my outline. All right, I want to do y'all justice here. I want to do y'all justice. All right, so I'll talk about one of the first times that I kind of disappointed in my head some people. Right, and I think one of the reasons why I'm afraid of greatness, Sinclair, is because I think the greater you become and the greater you are, the more people that rely on you, right? Whether they rely on you for motivation, for education, they rely on you financially. And if you fail, you don't just fail yourself, you fail a whole bunch of other people, and it has like a ripple effect. And I feel like as a high I, as a people pleaser, one of my biggest fears is disappointing and letting down and failing people. Yeah. Right. Specifically people that I care about, people that I love. So for me, and this was like, again, kind of a dramatic story when I was younger, but it was, I think it was like 3rd grade, 4th grade. We had a basketball tournament. And at the time, I was nice. Little saucy, you know what I'm saying? I would do my thing. I couldn't shoot that well, but I was unstoppable when it came to driving. I discovered there is a thing in basketball called a foul, which I didn't know about until I started playing organized basketball. Because like at the parks, you know, playing in school, like, yeah, it's all fair game. You don't call fouls, right? So it was my first time playing organized basketball, 3rd grade, 4th grade. And it was going well. Like our team was winning. I was driving to the basket, unstoppable, getting fouls, going to the free throw line. I made like maybe 50% of my free throws. I was like Shaq Diesel back then. But during the game, I went up for a layup, landed wrong, and like twisted my ankle. Right, hurt my ankle. It was in terrible pain. I was crying a little for it, but I still, I went to the free throw line. I shot my free throws, made one, missed the other one. I still played the rest of the game on a hurt ankle, and then we lost that game. Right, and to me, I felt like that was my fault. I felt like because I was the quote unquote best player on there, I should have put the team on my back. I shouldn't have got hurt, or I should have, muscled through it, be a man, all that stuff that we learned as a young kid. And I felt like that was one of the things that stuck in my head of, dang, I don't know if I want all this pressure. I don't know if I want to be the Kobe or the LeBron on the team where if I go down, the entire team goes down. So to you, Queen, do you have a moment in your life? Well, the first question is, do you find yourself possibly being afraid of your potential greatness?
Definitely.
Okay. So is there a point in time where you can go back to that, maybe that trauma comes from, or that hesitation comes from? Like I told you my story of third grade, fourth grade, playing basketball, being great, but then disappointing people and not really wanting to feel that again. Do you have a time where you felt like you put in your whole heart, or everyone was looking at you and they expected something that you weren't at the time able to provide, and you like, ooh, I don't want to feel that again?
So I can't think of like a big thing necessarily that happened like in childhood. I can think of like little things that maybe have happened recently. I can think about like pretty much every time you're stepping on the stage for dance. Especially, you've got I did competitive dancing like my whole life. So there was always different types of routines, different groups. You had like your larger groups to where I was always less nervous for something like that because I'm one of maybe 12 people on the stage. So I mean, you want to be flawless, right? No matter what. But in reality, like if you mess up and there's 12 other people on the stage, it's less likely to be caught, right? By judges, by your teacher, by everybody in the audience than it is in a solo, or than it is in a duo or a trio, which is either one person on the stage, two people on the stage, or three people on the stage. I had a competition where I must have let a black cat walk across me like the day before or something.
Everything went wrong.
When I tell you, I've never been so off of my game.
How old were you this time?
I mean, this was high school, so I was probably, maybe 15, 16. And I just remember, like, it wasn't just one performance. It was like I went up for my trio, I went up for my solo, and it was almost like an out of body experience where I was like, what is happening right now? Like, and it was mainly for so my style of dance. To this day, I've never been a very technical dancer in terms of like that's always been my weakness, but stage performance, telling the story, that's where I shine. Right? I'm gonna make you cry. My feet my feet may be not as pointed as the other girls, but I'm gonna make you cry. But I was always terrified of doing pirouettes or turns, as we call it, because that was my weakness. And the higher you get, the older you get, the more level up you go, the more turns you're expected to do, the more flawlessly you're expected to execute, and the harsher you're graded, by the judges and whatnot. And that was just always my weakness. And yeah, I had a couple of performances that I will never forget. Especially on being a solo. So literally everybody in the entire auditorium is looking at you. And every single turn that I did was a flop. It was to the point where I was like, I don't know what was wrong with me. Like to this day, it's a mystery, but I would like do my prep and I would go and it's like my ankle would buckle and I did not do not one turn. I did not complete not one turn. I almost fell on my butt like during a turn. Actually, I did. I fell on my butt. I fell on my butt. That was the moment. Now that I'm remembering, it was actually very traumatic. Yeah, having the entire auditorium looking at you, and this was during a trio, Dr. Feelgood. I fell on my butt during a turn, during a turn section.
What happened after that?
I mean, I got up and kept doing the routine, but I just remember leaving the stage and like my stomach was in knots. And my teacher, I don't even think she talked to me.
Dang.
I don't know.
Is
I don't.
Christy?
Yeah. I don't think she talked to me. I don't think she looked at me. She was just like, what is wrong?
Mm-hmm.
And
So
I just
sitting in that moment right there, what did that feel like?
terrible, especially like the solo was one thing, but it's like, okay, well, I just messed up my solo. Obviously, I'm not going to place the trio. I was like, oh, I was already like the least technical of the three of us. But yeah, it was like, okay, well, I've now messed up our chances of placing in this trio. Right, I've made us as a unit look bad, but us look like we were not prepared. Even though I was just having a bad day, like I don't know what it was. It was nerves, I don't know, but I felt like I let my trio down. I felt like I let my mom down, my teacher down, my whole studio down because of my nerves or what, I don't know. But it was just a terrible feeling. That entire weekend was just, and I feel like that probably jinxed me for the rest of my routines.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a moment that I remember just feeling really, and I was excited to have, I was even excited to have that routine because again, it was almost like a level up for me. I was dancing with dancers that maybe I wasn't, at a level that I wasn't used to. And so it was exciting, like, oh man, I get this trio now. And yeah, it felt like I had this opportunity and just did not deliver. It was very, very
traumatic.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting too because I know you dance a whole bunch of different genres, but I also know today you're very focused on hip hop specifically. And I wonder if that moment has anything to do with why, and I don't know how many contemporary or spin jazz solo. I don't know how much jazz you did after that moment. I don't know how much jazz you did after that moment. But I know right now you don't do jazz. You don't do turns. You don't do that stuff anymore. And I wonder how much of it is connected to that traumatic moment. Right. But I do want to go on to a slightly next part. Keep holding that moment or continue to you're over here getting them ants. But or continue to just self-reflect a little bit. Right. So for me, another reason why I'm not necessarily afraid. I don't know. We'll just stick with afraid of greatness for now, right? But I think for me, I've always associated greatness with winning, right? Like you're not really known for being great unless you win. You get rings, you get championships, you win competitions, whatever it is. But I have a secondary definition on here that I put down, and this is not from Merriam. I just kind of made this up. So if I am plagiarizing somebody, I apologize. But I'm pretty sure I just literally made this one up, right? And it says greatness is being willing to put in your absolute best possible effort every time, despite the outcome.
I think the last part is the key.
Despite the outcome.
Yeah. That's not typical to what I think people think of when they think of the word greatness.
Why not? What do you think of when you think of greatness?
I do think about like those who have set themselves apart because they have achieved a level of success. But I do typically think of outcomes. I do typically think of rings or games won or awards won, Grammys won, like a notoriety. Like I feel like I do typically think of some outcome reached rather than a process of doing your best regardless.
And is it outcome or is it reward?
What's the difference?
I think the difference is, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, you can say arguably that the outcome of their greatness is the level of ability that they have in basketball, right? Regardless of how many rings, championships, MVPs, like if I'm able to do stuff on the court, my ability is a showcase of my greatness versus I have 10 championships, and I go to trying to bring it back to the theme of this podcast, right? Melanated Married Millionaires in the making. The greatest husband in the world, the greatest wife in the world, there's not a trophy for that. Right. You can literally be every single day. If you're great, let me go back to this definition. Greatness is the willingness to put in your absolute best effort in your marriage, in your friendships, in being a parent, in your job, despite the outcome. Right. And maybe I should add in there, despite the outcome or recognition or reward. Right. You might not get that trophy. You might not get the plaque, the award-winning jersey for wife of the year, melanated queen of the year. But are you willing to be that great wife, that great husband anyway? Right? Regardless of the reward, are you willing to be great? And I think I connected this to, there is a time where it might have been the same time, but I felt like I put in everything that I had into this basketball game, right? Blood, sweat, and tears. I felt like I put everything into the game, and we took an L. And I just remember just sitting there crying, just feeling so disappointed in myself. But people coming up to me and being like, "Oh, good game! Like, you did your thing. You were great out there." I'm just like, "What do you say? We lost." Stop shaking my hand. Like those what's it called, sportsmanship handshakes at the end of the game.
Yeah.
If I lost, I was like, I'm really not trying to shake your hand right now. Like, I'm really not trying to hear this whole good game situation, because I just took an L.
Right.
Because I associated a good game, a great game, with taking home the dub.
Right.
But yeah, now in my older age, like, I can see, like, you can be a great player, and sometimes the team just isn't great. Right? You put in your whole best face effort, and you took an L. That doesn't mean that you as an individual weren't great in that moment. Right? You just took an L. Right? How you feeling about that?
Yeah, I think that is one of the things, again, that can set apart the great from the good, is that ability to recognize, like, regardless of the outcome, I did everything that I could do.
Right.
And being okay with that, and not letting that discourage you from continuing, you know, to progress forward. And I think that that's what happens to a lot of folks, is you put in everything, you know, for a period of time, right?
You put in a strong week.
Right.
2 weeks.
Even for weight loss, right?
Yeah.
That's the prime example. I think everybody can put in the work for a week.
Facts. Ooh, I can be disciplined as a mug.
I could do anything for a week. Yeah. Right? But then you step on the scale and you're like,
that's it.
Right. Like, dang, this ain't even working. Why am I doing all this work? Right. Where's the outcome? Where's the cookie? Where's the trophy? And then you stop.
Yep.
And then maybe something happens, you start again, right? But I think the people who you see out there who have lost weight and done it sustainably, they've made it a part of their life. Right. They've just committed themselves to being healthy, or committed themselves to getting up and moving every day, or eating right. And they've just made it a part of their lifestyle, regardless of the outcome. Of their identity. I like that. They've made it a part of their identity. Yeah. I am a person that cares about my body, that works out, that gets my body moving, that eats right, and treats my body well, period. And as a result of that, I was able to lose weight and keep it off, right? Rather than, okay, I tried something and it didn't work, and now I'm reacting to that. So I think that is a difference that can be used in so many different situations in life. But I think it's something that I'm working on, even right actively, where we talk about this weight loss conversation. Like, that's something I'm actively working on. And like, I'm tracking things. Like, yes, I still step on the scale, but I've almost gotten to the point where I step on the scale and I don't even look at it. I just track it.
I'm confused on what's the point if you don't look at the scale.
Here's why. Because one, I, for myself, have realized that tracking weight is not what I want to do. I want to track body fat, because that's where my goal is. And so I try to not look down when I'm on the scale, because I'm like, I don't even care about what the weight number is. Let me just log it so that it can get into my phone. I track everything on my phone.
Gotcha.
And then at some point I will go in and just go to the body fat percentage and see how I'm doing, because that's what I care about. But I try to avoid the emotional attachment to the number on the scale, because it's so easy for me to step on, do everything that I can do, and then step on it, and then dang, like, the numbers really didn't, like, the weight didn't move. What I'm doing isn't working. I need to switch it up. Right. Or I need to reevaluate and give myself a break and then try something else. Whereas I'm just kind of in the mode now where it's like, just do what you know you should be doing, and let the results come.
I'll say. And that's where, again, talking to Devon. Listen here, brother. Come here. Listen here, player. What I have the issue is doing exactly what you said, Sinclair. Like, I'll have for and a business idea or social media strategy or content for Play Black Wall Street, I'd be like, cool, I'm gonna hop on this content schedule for a week, for 2 weeks, for a month. I'll be really good. I'm gonna wake up, I'm gonna do my my whiteboard, I'm gonna write down my task and all that stuff, and I'll be really good until we have like a wedding to go to. And I fall off for a weekend or for a week, and then it turns into a month, and then turns into 2 months. Right. Or until I just get stressed out with everything going on. And then I just like, oh, forget it. I take a week off. It turns into 2 weeks, and turns into a month, and turns into 3 months. Right. And I think for me, I need to figure out a better way to not be attached to the outcome and be attached to or reform and solidify what my identity is. Right. I think my identity is slowly not outside perception of my identity, not what other people think my identity is, but really like, Devon, who do you think you are? Who do you know you are? Who do you want to be in? All right, let's build that identity. All right. Are you the type of person that reads every day? Yes, that's the person that I want to be. Are you the type of person that creates a to-do list every day? Yes, that's the type of person that I want to be. Are you the type of person that says they're going to do something to themselves, no one else knows, and you still commit to what you said you were going to do? Yes, that's the type of person I want to be, right? So I think I need to take a week, month tops, and like just figure out, or maybe it can be a week at a time, piece of my Devon Truvel identity that I want to cement and solidify.
Yeah.
There's a really good quote / video with Will Smith talking about, I know he's a sensitive topic right now, but I still think, pre-slap, really wise person,
Right.
dope person, a great individual. If you look at his body of work, greatness, right?
Momentary lapse of judgment.
Yeah,
Doesn't
momentary,
change that
whatever.
he's
Yeah. I'm not even trying to get on that, but he's greatness, right? So he had this quote where he was saying, "You don't tell yourself you're going to build a great wall, right? Because that's a big accomplishment. That can get overwhelming. That's a lot. You start by telling yourself, I'm going to lay this one brick as perfectly, as flat, right, as intentional as possible. And then the next day I'm gonna lay another brick. And after 10 years, after 20 years of reading every day for 10 minutes, after 10, 20 years of waking up and doing mobility training every single day, after 10, 20 years of doing a podcast every Sunday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, unless we have a guest and they want to do it another time, right? You can now sit back after all that time and look at all the beautifully placed bricks that form your wall. Look at all the beautiful habits of reading 10 minutes a day and all the knowledge that you've been able to retain. So I need to take a week, a month, a lifetime, and just figure out what are the Devon bricks of my identity.
Yeah. And I think part of where I specifically fall short in this realm is trying to do too much at once. Like you said, I feel like sometimes we let the momentum, the motivation at the beginning, right? It's so easy to get motivated to do something at the beginning and like, oh man, yeah, I'm gonna write 30 bricks today.
30 of them things. Right? Easy. I'm a bricklayer.
No days off. Whatever, right? It's so easy to say that on day one.
No days off. We doing it. How far you in? Yeah, it's day 2, bro. You know what I'm saying? We in here hustling. We grinding. No days off, man.
But it's like, how sustainable is it to lay 30 bricks every single day?
Right.
And this is metaphoric, right? But I like the
or even in real life. Like, can you really?
That's right. I've never lived.
What's the supply chain on that?
I don't know. But I think it is harder. It is harder to step back and say, what can I do sustainably? Like, what is realistic for me to do every single day? Because if I'm doing this for a lifetime, then there's no rush for me to lay 30 bricks in one day, because I've got other things to do. I've got whatever. I know I can do one brick every single day, regardless of the circumstances, regardless of what's happening in my life. I know I can do one brick. And I feel like that's where I specifically get caught up is trying to do everything at once. And I think it's like a perfectionist mindset too, of like, if I'm not going to do it all the way, then I'm just not going to do it. And that's a very dangerous mindset to have, because it's more, and what I'm kind of the mindset that I'm shifting to is it's more about consistency than it is about perfection, right? It's more about the intention of doing something every single day. And that, again, like you said, that really is a part of your identity. If you're doing something every single day, that's a part of you. That's a part of your identity. And so I think it's more more about what can I sustainably do every day, right? I can go for a walk for 30 minutes every single day, right? Whether that's in place, whether that's while I'm watching TV.
Literally, she's been doing this, y'all. Like before bed, she'll get up and she'll just walk in place. She'll be dancing and doing like weird. I'm like, what are you doing, Sinclair? Oh, I'm trying to get my blood sugar down low before I go to bed. I was like, all right, man, do your thing.
Hey, it's been working. But right, it's a non-negotiable, right, that I've made to myself now, is like get up and move your body for 30 minutes every single day. And that is something that I know that I can do regardless of what's going on, right? If I'm on vacation, if I've got a lot of things to do, I can wake up 30 minutes earlier. I can, again, during a little break, like walk in place. Like that's really something that no matter what, I can get done. Rather than being like, okay, we got a vacation. I'm gonna, everybody got a vacation coming up. I'm gonna work out for an hour. I'm gonna do 2 a-days. I'm gonna do all these things, right? And you may get quick results for a week, but then, I mean, how sustainable is that really? Then the next week's gonna come and you're gonna be like, well, I'm tired and I've worked out. I'm sore, so let me take a break. Let me take a day off. And then that, like you said, that turns into 2 and 3, and now you've completely undone everything. But long story short, I think it's important when you are evaluating how you're going to be great, when you're evaluating what steps you're going to take to reach the level you want to reach, is to under promise, over deliver, right? Come up with a very tangible, small goal that you can make a habit, that you can cement as part of your daily routine. You can cement as part of your identity. That's going to give you way more bang for your buck, way more results than doing something really drastic that is going to, that's going to have you on and off and, not really build any consistency.
Love it. Love it. So boom, there's one action item for y'all. If you are watching, you are listening, whether it's past Devon or another person out there, figure out what is one habit, one piece of your identity that you can commit to doing every day. Right. For me, I think I can confirm mine is reading for 10 minutes. Right. As a educator, as a writer, as a person who writes books and teaches courses, like I think reading should be a part of my identity. And for a long time, it wasn't. For a long time, I avoided reading. For a long time, still to this day, like I consider myself a slow reader. So sometimes it's like, I'm not feeling it. But I'm going to commit to reading 10 minutes a day. YouTube videos do not count, Devon. Articles, as long as they're not dramatic articles, like if they're education articles, Forbes boom. The last thing in being afraid, I'm just doing some dancing. We're visible. Hello. Can you see me? Is the consequence of greatness.
Yeah. I think you put something really deep here in the
outline. I put something very deep in the outline. Let me see what I put in this outline. Yes. That is what I put. Well done. But with everything that you do, right, there's a cause and effect, right? I think there's a consequence of being mediocre. There's a consequence of being average. There's a consequence to being great as well. And for me, when I look at history, when I look at some of my historic mentors or some of the people that have inspired me, like a Malcolm X, like a Martin Luther King, like a Huey P. Newton, like a George Washington Carver. Actually, he did his thing, but nothing traumatic happened to him. But a lot of great Black male leaders, a lot of great Black males who end up inspiring people, motivating people, and providing for a community, don't have the most positive ending to their life. Right. Or sometimes to their legacy, like whether it's their life was taken or their legacy was tarnished by a certain act. Right. Again, we're talking about who we just talked about, Will Smith. Again, he has a huge legacy of greatness. But all of a sudden now there's a slight blemish on his character, him as a person, off of one 30-second act.
Right.
30 years of greatness is now questioned because of one act. And yeah, for me, again, the consequence of greatness, one, people looking at you and then you do one small thing and now everything else that you've done is erased, or society and people looking at you as a threat to the establishment and wanting to take you out. So a part of me is definitely fearful and afraid of reaching my full potential and becoming a threat to society.
Yeah. Yeah, that's deep. So I think especially it is I think a unique experience for Black males in America.
Yeah.
That, yeah, I mean, and it's like, I don't know how you get past that aside from just kind of hoping, right, moving forward and hoping that times have changed, or hoping that, right, that you that you will just have a positive outcome, that one, regardless of, right, and I think that's kind of what we're talking about, regardless of the outcome, that you would have done what you needed to do here, right?
Yep.
Yeah, but I mean, it is kind of scary to think about.
Yeah. Even a Nipsey Hussle.
Yeah.
Right. Like he was out there doing his thing, building for the community. And whether you believe all of the what's it called? All the conspiracy theories, or you think it was just a one-off situation. Either way, him being who he was and like being great, I feel like even attracted that situation to happen, whether it was that person acting as an individual or a part of a larger conspiracy. So yeah. And I think there are ways that I want to protect us in the future. And we've talked about some of those things. So I think you can do more than just hope. I'm not leaving it to hope, Queen.
I didn't mean just hope.
I'll let you know that right now. It ain't gonna be a whole lot of hoping. It's gonna be a whole lot of other stuff around here. Yeah, but I think there's, smart ways to just move in public, right? And I think there's smart ways to protect yourself and surround yourself with people that you trust, so that those things have a less likelihood of happening. Right. But yeah, that is definitely something that I'm thinking of. And I had a conversation with my dad. I think it was when I first wrote the Black Future Month book. Right. And he read that book. And if y'all haven't gotten it, it's on Amazon, Black Future Month by Truvel. Go ahead and grab it. But he read it and he was like, "This is a dangerous book." He was like, "Be careful, son. Like, this is like the stuff that you're talking about right here. A lot of people don't want to see actually happen. So you need to be careful." And yeah, it's some scary stuff. Right. So if you are feeling that, or you connect with that message, drop something in the comments, or send us a DM. How do you overcome that fear? How do you overcome that fear of dealing with the consequence of being great?
I think that one thing to keep in mind, and I don't know if this is a way to overcome it necessarily, but maybe a way to move past maybe temporary situations where you're like, I don't know, is to think about the alternative, right? Is that you don't reach that greatness, but you always are going to have that what if, right? I feel like you have, either you live up to your full potential and you have that fear of, what can happen as a result, or you don't live up to your full potential and you have that weight on your shoulders for the rest of your life of not knowing that you did not accomplish what you wanted to, not because you couldn't, but because you chose not to.
Yeah. And I think my issue, we're having a very live conversation. My issue is all right, two roads, right? You live the life of greatness, unapologetic, Black excellence. You're building communities, and at 40 years old, they get you. So you did, not knock on wood, but you lived your possible purpose. You lived possibly to your full potential. But now I don't get to see my kids grow up. Versus I live a average life. I don't reach my full potential, but I live a full life and I get to see my kids grow up, my great grandkids. And maybe it's not the nicest house in the world. Maybe we never build the school and the city that we wanted to build, but I got to live a full life. And either way, they're both kind of full lives in one point, right? One is a full life, family wise, love wise, and possibly how I get to spend my time. Another one, I'm hustling, I'm grinding a little bit more. My life is really not my own because the purpose that I want to live is the legacy and leave an impact on other people, and then I don't get to live my full family life. So it's like you're taking an L almost either way.
Is there a happy medium?
It's a great question. I don't know.
I guess we'll find out.
I guess we will find out, but I think there are people who live. I think there is a happy medium, but I think for folks that want to live a life of purpose and I think impact the community, I don't think there's a happy medium.
So you do it or you don't.
It's either you're living a life not for yourself, or you're living a life for yourself. I don't think there's in between. Either you're living for the community or you're living for yourself.
There's not a way to do both.
There is a way to do both. You can't do both absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Either you're living for the community, like who said this? Oh, it was one of the Black Panthers, and they said something like, I'm gonna die a revolutionary, and if you're a revolutionary, your life is not your own, and you're willing to give your entire life for the cause. And if you're not willing to give your life for the cause, then you're not a revolutionary. And I don't remember if that was Huey P. I don't remember if that was Fred Hampton. It was probably Fred Hampton. But yeah, it's a scary feeling to think of. We're taking a slightly different turn, but it's still being afraid of greatness
and its consequences,
and the consequences of being great, even like giving up your privacy.
Yeah.
Right. If you're a celebrity, you want to be a football player, basketball player, a famous health person, right? A famous motivational speaker. When you put yourself at a certain level of greatness, you now lose your privacy and possibly security unless you want to pay for security. So I think either way, there's always a cost and a consequence to greatness.
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, you have to weigh the consequences of your current reality and, of the two paths, I guess, that we're talking about, right? But also like the current reality and staying secure, staying safe, staying, I guess where you are right now versus, and I feel like why a lot of people maybe end up staying there is because it's at least familiar. I at least know the consequences of the life I'm living right now, right? I know that I can't do this or I can't do that, right? And I'm gotten used to that, right? Whereas this life of greatness, I don't know what that looks like. There are some things that I know, like lack of privacy, but I don't know what other consequences come with that life that I want to live, right? And I think that adds a layer onto it of fear is the fear of the unknown, right? I don't know that life. I don't know all the consequences that can come as a result of this. So I don't know if I'm fully going to be ready for that. I don't know if I'm going to be able to sustain that. I'm scared to get there and then realize that, I actually don't like, I actually really value my privacy and I don't want this life anymore, which in the life of fame, you can't undo that, right? Once you're in the world, you're in the world.
No, there's people who've been famous for a few seconds and they've fallen off.
Yeah, but I don't know that they still don't like.
Mike Jones can go to the mall.
Okay, true.
You know what I'm saying? Like there's people who like were popping at some point, and they can be a normal person.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, to some point.
Yeah. I mean, a Michael Jordan, a LeBron James, icons. Right. If you reach icon level, no, because right, that's what it is to be an icon. You are a symbol. You literally represent something. But I think there's a lot of just famous people, celebrities, who, as they're getting older, as they stop doing work, they can kind of just fold back into society almost.
Yeah, okay, I'll give you that one. But I think there are still just things that you're not going to know until you are in those shoes.
Agreed.
So I think there's also a layer of fear of the unknown that I think contributes to that fear of greatness.
Agreed. Let us know what y'all are thinking, right? Let us know in the comments. You pretty sure you can leave comments or notes or a review even if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, but let us know some of your thoughts on whether or not you personally are afraid of greatness, and for your dream that you have, what is the consequence of you reaching the peak of what that dream is? And are you willing to deal with that consequence?
I do think one way that you can easily evaluate that, not easily, the one way that you can evaluate that before you actually reach it is, as you've climbed the ladder, always have a mentor that's one step ahead of you. I feel like is just one way, right, that you can maybe get a sense of like, okay, what is that next level like? What type of issues, what type of consequences, what type of struggles is that person, that my mentor in the next level dealing with, and how am I going to deal with that when I get there?
That's good.
I feel like that is one way that can make the transition a little bit smoother, right? So if I'm some upcoming, I don't follow sports, y'all. I'm sorry. I really try to come up with some.
Yeah, do you?
If I'm Sinclair, the health nerd,
Yeah.
right, and I'm trying to be a Sean Stevenson one day, right? He's probably not. I can't just DM him or text him at this current moment. But
He might not reply, but you could.
You're right. But if that's the life that I'm trying to live, at some point, right? Once I'm able to, I would want to pick his brain on like, what types of things do you deal with, right? I know probably one of the things is like when you go and you probably can't be a Sean Stevenson and go to the grocery store and have a cheat day and decide that you want to have some brownies and ice cream, because I promise you, probably the first thing anybody's gonna do if I saw Sean Stevenson, I'm gonna look in your basket. What you got? Right? What do you have? Because I want to know what you shop, right, and what you eat. But I think that's again, just being, I think, a health person in the public eye, right? Everybody's going to be scrutinizing what you do, what you eat, and whatever. That's not healthy. That's blah 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 blah. So I think that's one of the things. But I would want to know like what types of censorship are you dealing with once you get to that level, and you're speaking a lot of truths that a lot of people don't want to hear, or that a lot of industries are going to be against, right? What type of censorship? He's pretty transparent about some of that on some of his podcasts, but like what types of things are you dealing with once you get to a level like that? I think that can be one of the ways that you evaluate whether you are going to be able, or whether you are going to be able to handle those consequences, whether you're going to be able to be comfortable and not be afraid of the greatness once you do achieve it.
Love it. So I want to go into the Ask Declare segment.
Okay.
Right, because we got into it, y'all. Hopefully you enjoyed the I don't know if enjoy is the right word. Hopefully you got some value and you were able to do some self digging in that process, right? Told you we're really talking to us in this episode, but hopefully y'all are digging with it too. The Ask Declare is, what will you being great do for our kids? So you reaching your full potential, right? And we're not talking about the consequences right now. We're talking about the rewards, right? Not rewards for you, but the rewards for people that you love, your kids. You being great, what will that do for them? For me, I mean, when I think about like the kids of Dr. Martin Luther King, the kids of a Malcolm X, the kids of great people, I feel like they can walk into rooms and walk into spaces and they get a certain level of treatment because of the legacy of their ancestors, right? Because of the legacy of their parents, they get treated a certain way by the community that their people impacted, right? And as a person who wants to impact, most directly the melanated community, the Black community, I want my kids to be able to walk into any Black neighborhood and be good. Like, oh yeah, that's Truvel's kids. Oh yeah, that's Declare's kids. They're good, right? Another thing that I want my greatness to do is I want my greatness to give our kids endless options.
Yes, that was going to be mine.
Oh, so go ahead. You take it then.
I think the freedom, right? The freedom to do what they want with their life. I think that would be something really amazing to be able to give to all of our kids, right? You don't have, you can do whatever you want, basically, right? Because I think our ideal world, we'd reach a level of financial freedom to where our kids, whether they want to start their business, if they want to go to college, they can, but they don't have to, right? If you want to start a business right out of high school, cool. Here's a fund, right? Well, here's a seed funding for your business. Here, go out and do what you want with it. Whether you blow it or make your mistakes, right? that's up to you. But at least you're going to learn those mistakes yourself and have the freedom to do what you want.
Right.
And I think that's, I think for most people, that's what a level that we want to get to. So hopefully we reach that in our lifetime. But if not, at least our kids will hopefully be able to, from the age that they are able to go out into the world, the adult world, really do what they want and find their purpose. I think that for so many folks, we do things out of necessity. We do things out of, this is just the path that I've been paid, that's been paved for me, right? I go to college, I get the salary job, I get the corporate job, whatever, and I retire, and these are the steps.
Right.
And I think for a lot of folks too, right? I've got these student loans, so I need to get. Right. We talked about that on another episode, but right, I've got this debt. Right, debt is one of those things that I feel like puts you in a space where now you have to do things out of necessity, and that doesn't always afford you. It can, but it doesn't always afford you the opportunity to do what you want, because you have to do what you have to do. You have to do what you need, right? To pay those student loans, to feed your family, to do whatever. So I feel like if we can handle our business now, so that when our kids are of age, they don't have debt, right? They don't have student loan debt. They don't have whatever that they need to answer to, anybody that they need to answer to. I think that will allow them to be able to find themselves a little earlier than in life, and be able to really find their purpose and what they love to do, and hopefully allow them to do that for their entire lives, and really build that legacy, and really reach a level of greatness, and whatever that is, whether they're a musician or a dancer or a business owner or a lawyer, a doctor, whatever it is, reach a level of greatness because they were able to start early.
Right. So this episode, and I'm going to talk about one of the motivations, but it also came from a quote that we were talking with Grandy, mom, dad yesterday. I don't know if Grandy said this or if my dad said this, but someone said, I know my dad for sure said this. He was like, "I'm not afraid of being great." But I feel like Grandy said something right before that motivated him to say that. Do you remember what happened? You don't. Long story short, my dad was like, "I'm not afraid of being great." And then he put the pound on. He was like, give me pound, son. Give me a little something. And I was like, I'm not anymore, but I used to. But then I still pounded it. But that did make me do some reflections on. I felt like, are you willing to pay the price to allow the next generation to be their great self? Right. And we talk about us being able to, whether it's creating the financial freedom for our kids so they have a fund so they can now do what they want to, and they can be great in whatever right it is for them. Right. We need to pay that price. Our parents paid that price for us. Right. My dad being able to be a college student and have the maturity and the greatness within him to be like, you know what? I want to be a part of my son's life, and I want to raise my son. Right. And I'm a direct result of that choice that he made 20, how old am I? 29 years ago.
Look, I'd be asking that too.
How old am I? I met some other person that I was like, "Hey, how old are you, bro?" Because he had a very young spirit, but he said, "Oh goodness, okay, you timeless." I like that line. I may slide that. But anyway, I feel like I'm a direct result, whatever perceived greatness that I have and the greatness that I will achieve because of the debt, because of the sacrifice that my parents, my grandparents, and all the other people made for me. Right. And you have to think, are you today, tomorrow, next month, willing to pay that price, that sacrifice for your kids to be great? Right. Queen, anything you want to sprinkle on that before I go into this last segment, and then we'll go ahead and wrap this Too Afraid to Be Great episode. This is some good stuff, personally.
I just think it's the ultimate form of delayed gratification. It's so delayed you may not experience it.
Selfless.
Right. But yeah, I think that we are in a happy medium state right now, to where like we could be in a different situation right now. Like we could be living in different means right now. A selfish life. But we've made some strategic decisions. We've made some strategic sacrifices so that we can, build a better life for us in the future, as well as for our kids. But I think that that's not always easy to do. because you don't know what tomorrow brings,
Mm.
right? Because there is a level of sacrifice here, us both assuming we're going to live another 50 years,
Yep.
right? To see the fruit of our labor, whether that's our kids, whether that's something we experience. But you know, we're even doing all of this for a hypothetical family we don't have yet.
It's a fact,
right?
Yeah.
And so I think it takes a level of let me take myself out of my current situation for a second. And it does take a level of, I think, having your current, at least survival needs met to even be able to do this. So, right. So we're blessed to be in a situation to be able to do that. Yes. Thank you. But I think once you are in a situation where, okay, my financial, my basic needs are met, right? I have a roof over my head. I'm able to feed myself and I feel okay. I can move my body. I have an able body, right? Blessed. So now what can I do to make sure that someone else is afforded the same thing so that our future legacy can do this times 10, right? But yeah, I think it does take a level of like, okay, once you're good enough, how can I now make sure that the future generation that we don't even have yet, right, is great. Yeah, it's I feel like it's a constant struggle because especially in the world of social media, right? You see other people who may not have made the same decisions, right? They live their best life right now. Yeah. And sometimes it's hard to see that and be like, oh, dang. Okay, that'll be me in 20 years. So that'll be me in whatever. But I think it's always keeping in mind like the end goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There it is. Last thing, and I'm not gonna get into the full conversation. Maybe this can be a whole podcast in itself. But I just got back from the Deeper Than the Brand Summit, the I to M Impact to Monetization Summit out in Lansing, Michigan. Shout out to the whole Deeper Than the Brand team. Y'all know who you are. Shout out to the tribe. But in this, one of the activities they had us do, right? And a little bit more context. I'm a dreamer. I'm an optimist. I'm a self-proclaimed visionary, right? And I think in my circle of people, I'm probably the top 3 visionaries, right? Going into this space was a nice kind of wake up call to be like, yeah, you good, you bad, but this world is huge and there's a lot of visionaries and a lot of people that are out there trying to make a big impact too. So expand your network, be exposed to other people because they will force you and stretch you to a bigger goal. But we were in there, and the whole point of the summit is to help you monetize your brand, help you build a community, and then be able to build a either active or passive income stream from this brand, from this community. So they have you, write down how much you want to make next year in your community. So me, I was like, you know what? I want to make $80,000. I think it would be great if somehow through Play Black Wall Street Academy, I'm able to have some students, some school districts, and all that to make a pretty comfortable annual salary. And in my head, I was like, this is realistic. And this is beautiful. $80,000 from a community. This is good. Everyone wrote down their number. And then Nikki was like, now add another 0 to that. Everyone was like, oh, oh, you want me to do what? I already was kind of shooting for the stars on this one, if I'm being real. You want me to add a 0 to this? So then everyone added their 0. And then she went around and everybody had to say their number. Right. And if at first I was like, oh, my number, 80,000 at first, I add another 0, 800,000. That's a lot of money. If I can do this, I'm good. Y'all. I promise you, my number was one of the lowest numbers in the room, right? And 800,000 still to this day. To this day, I'm still like, that's still a good number. But people were standing up and they were saying, 1.5 million, 3.5 million, 35 million, 50 million. I was like, goodness, whoa. But at the same time, I'm like, why not?
It's definitely possible.
It's possible with the money that's out there, with the people that are on the internet, with the impact that your course can create, right? If you truly believe that you have a good product, there's 7 point something billion people in this world. So if you truly believe you have a good product, why can't you make $10 million a year off your product, off your course, off your community? So again, this may be another episode, but really forcing you all to not only stop being afraid to be great, but add another level to what you think your greatness can be. Add another zero to what you think your greatness can be. Add another layer of impact to what you think your greatest level of impact can be, and go that much further. Not to say that if you don't reach this level, it's a failure, but maybe this is the goal.
Right. So that wherever you land under here, you sitting pretty.
You're still sitting pretty, right? If we shoot for $800,000 next year and we only make $500,000,
oh no,
that is still huge. Don't come looking. Don't start counting our pockets. There's not gonna be any type of announcement.
No,
There's nothing like that. But yeah, like really stretch yourself and shoot for something higher, something that you never thought was possible. And kind of giving one more example. I know I'm over speaking, Queen. I apologize. But going into kind of weekly updates, as y'all know, we just got back from our 3rd-year anniversary. Hey, good time. Went up to Big Bear. But there was a point in my life where I was afraid to ride in a helicopter. Right? There's a point in my life where I didn't know anybody firsthand who has ridden in a helicopter. We just rode in a helicopter for the first time in Big Bear. Right. And now our brain's like, we want to get a helicopter's license. Now we saw a whole nother perspective of Big Bear, and it just opened our minds up to other possibilities. Right. So stress yourself, expose yourself to other people, and do things that maybe you haven't seen someone that you know do before, just so you can get to another level.
Yeah.
Right. Because you can only, yeah. That's why you got to get new experiences, y'all.
You do.
You got to. Queen, talk to me.
About?
You can talk to me about dreaming bigger, or we can go ahead and slide into updates for the week on your side.
I don't have too much to add on to the dream bigger conversation. I think it's just important to, I feel like I always struggle with the like dreaming too big, and then like you said, like feeling like I failed unless I reached this, rather than being proud, like, you know, push for that, do everything you can to reach for that, and then be happy with where you land. And I felt like I always struggle because I feel like I'm always fighting myself when I think like, have I done everything that I can? There was something else I could have done. And I feel like that's something I'm working on, is making sure that, one, I am doing everything that I can do, so that with whatever outcome that happens, I can be satisfied.
I want to challenge that. I don't think it's about doing everything that you can do. I think it's about doing everything you said you were going to do. I think those are two different lists, right? Doing anything you can do, it can look like a long list. Like every morning I wake up, my list is like 13 things long, because I'm thinking, what can I do today? But if you just talk about like laying your one brick, what are the 3 things? What's the 2 things? What's the one thing that I'm going to commit myself to doing today? And can I do that and commit to doing that to the best of my ability? Right. So I want to challenge you a little bit on it. Don't do a whole list of everything that you can do, because I think you can do a lot. But what does Sinclair, what does Devon commit to doing within this time period?
Right. Yeah. Thank you for that challenge.
So usually I challenge you to do more. I think you were afraid at first. You're like, oh, what's about to happen? I got you.
Because I think that to your point, this morning, right, to you, I was like, you know what? I've been thinking this, so I'm just going to say it out loud, that I'm proud of myself. Because I was like, this whole week, all 7 days, I've been active. I got up, and even when I did not want to, that was multiple days this week, I got up and I got out and I did my 30-minute walk. Or even yesterday, right? Didn't do the walk, but I did the workout, right? I did the workout right while we were watching the movie. I did a workout in front of the TV. I even walked outside in the backyard after that, because it got too hot. But I was like, you're going to still get these steps in, you still get your exercise in. And I feel really good. I feel really good about myself. I feel proud of myself because I did what I said I was going to do. So I think, to your point, no, I didn't do every single thing that I physically could do, because I mean, I didn't set out to do that. I set out to be active every single day this week, and I did that. So I think I need to start judging myself more on, did you do what you said you were going to do?
Yes.
Rather than, did you do everything physically possible in the human world?
Yes.
Because it's like, if you judge yourself to that, you are never going to be happy. You're never going to be satisfied. Your self-esteem is always going to be low. Whereas if you just say, did I do what I said I was going to do? That's a much more realistic goal to meet.
Under promise,
over deliver.
Yep. So updates for the week, Queen. Let people know what's popping, and then if you can end with, again, your one thing that you feel like you can commit to within your identity moving forward.
Updates are that we have the free weight loss accountability group. So if you are trying to get right, you're trying to get that body right. I did talk about the fear of greatness as it relates to weight loss, and sometimes we overcommit to what we need to do. This group is great for, like, I always try to get to the ladies and say, what is like the one thing, right? Because sometimes even there, we're like, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, we're gonna do this, and they're like a list of things, right? And I'll push back, like, okay, but what's the one thing? Like, if it had to be one thing, what's the one thing you said you're gonna do this week? So we do have a free weight loss accountability group via Telegram. If you are just trying to get some help staying consistent with what you need to do, definitely come and join our group. And you can join that at queencoaching.com.
Boom. And the one thing that you are going to commit to?
The one thing I'm going to commit to is moving my body for 30 minutes every single day. Because that's a part of my identity. The health nerd moves her body every single day and prioritizes movement.
Boom. There you go. A little fun trick. It helps when you say it in third person.
It does.
For me, as y'all know, you can go to playblackwallstreet.com, get yourself a board game. That is playblackwallstreet.com. Get yourself a family fun board game to play this weekend, next weekend, family reunion, back to school nights, all that good stuff to teach Black history and financial literacy at the same time. Go ahead and get Black Wall Street, the board game, at playblackwallstreet.com. Yeah. And my one thing is going to be reading for 10 minutes a day. Devon Truvel reads 10 minutes a day.
There you go.
Boom. All right. We appreciate y'all. Don't afraid to be great. All right. Go ahead. Don't be afraid to be great. What did I say?
So don't afraid.
Don't afraid. Don't afraid. All right. Don't be afraid to be great out there. And don't just do it for you, but do it for the people that come behind you. Right. Whether it's your direct kids, your descendants, your cousins, your nieces, nephews, or just friends that are coming up behind you, mentees. Don't just do it for you, do it for the people behind you. Queen, anything before we wrap?
That's all I got.
All good.
That's all she wrote.
All she wrote. All right, beautiful people. As usual, make sure y'all secure yourselves, secure the love, secure the marriage, and secure the bag. Catch y'all next time. Peace. Thank you for supporting the M4 show and our mission to increase the wealth of Black families.
If you received any value from this episode, any value at all, any, do us a favor and give us a like and subscribe on YouTube and Apple, Spotify, anything, all of them, all of them, wherever you're listening. Go ahead and like and subscribe.
And after you like and subscribe, make sure you send this episode to at least one family that you really want to see win. We'll catch y'all next time. Peace.